Hello and welcome to the Anglican Flaneurs. It's another Tuesday afternoon in the City of London. I've wandered over from the eastern edges from my office and I'm now at the borders with Holborn. I'm wandering around one of my favourite areas near one of my favourite pubs, the Holborn Viaduct, but I'm not going in there today. I'm going to be looking at Holborn Viaduct and some of the surrounding areas. That's Holborn Viaduct, the bridge of course, not the pub. And I'm going to pop into one of my favourite churches just for a few moments, St Sepulchre-without-Newgate. We have featured this church a few times and mentioned it in previous vlogs. There is a musical recital going on, so I'm just going to go in for a short period of time. I'm not going to linger. So for a few moments, let's look up and down in the direction of Newgate Street and the direction of Holborn, and we'll also look down Snow Hill. An interesting piece about Snow Hill comes from the Cabby Blog website, which mentions that on the 10th of April 1633, apothecary Thomas Johnson hung a bunch of bananas in his shop at Snow Hill, the first bananas seen in Britain. The famous author Charles Dickens also mentions Snow Hill. It's mentioned in Nicholas Nickleby, Little Dorrit, and also Oliver Twist. In Nicholas Nickleby, Dickens says, "The name is such a good one. Snow Hill too, coupled with a Saracen's Head, picturing to us by a double association of ideas somewhat stern and rugged." Saracen's Head was demolished in 1868 and the Snow Hill police station stood on the site until 2019 when it was vacated. And in 2020 the City of London sold the lease of the building 151 years to Whitbread, with a proposed development for a new hotel, which might be why we see the building works before us. Anyway, I dropped in two prints, one of an old picture of the Saracen's Head and one of the police station. And we're just panning over to see the Old Bailey and the scales of justice. As I said a few moments ago, we're only going to have a quick look in the church, but I can't resist. And before us we can see stone from the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem. We'll just pan round the interior of this wonderful building. There's something in particular that I want to feature upon, and that's the executioner's bell. We talked about it in a previous video when we went into the basement of the Holy Viaduct pub and we saw the cells from Newgate Prison. And I did drop in a picture of the executioner's bell that day, but I'm seeing it in person now. During the 17th and 19th century, the clerk responsible for ringing it outside the condemned man's cell in Newgate Prison the night before his execution would announce the following wholesome advice: "All you that in the condemned hole do lie, prepare you, for tomorrow you shall die. Watch all and pray, the hour is drawing near, that you before the Almighty must appear. Examine well yourselves, in time repent, that you may not to eternal flames be sent. And when St Sepulchre's bell tomorrow tolls, the Lord above have mercy on your souls, past 12 o'clock. Now I might come back in here another time and do a much more detailed look at this wonderful place, but there's a music recital, as I mentioned earlier, going on, and a very kind lady has allowed me to come in here and do some filming, but I need to leave through a mysterious side door, so I'll quickly get out and come back here another time. And this is of course known as the Musicians' Church. And some of these wonderful features that I've been able to film today will just be an appetizer for another time. I finally made my way out through a side door into Snow Hill Court, and we'll have a quick look down, or another look down Snow Hill and then onto Cock Lane. We will, I promise, eventually make it over to Holborn Viaduct. In the medieval period, it was known as Cockess Lane and was the site of legal brothels. 25 Cock Lane is the site where the supposed Cock Lane ghost manifested itself in 1762. This is the Saracen's Head building, where I presume the old pub used to be, which was followed, as we mentioned earlier, by the police station. And Cock Lane is the place where writer John Bunyan, who wrote England's first bestseller, died from a fever in 1688. Now, we saw where he was buried at Bunhill Fields burial ground just recently. Now, before us we can see more red London buses. They often get in the way of filming and I don't edit them out. Please let me know in the comments if this annoys you or whether you like them. I tend to like them. And now we've made our way to the end of Cock Lane, to the junction of Giltburn Street, and we are very close to Smithfields, and we can see the Golden Boy of Pye Corner. Now, I know we've been here many times before, so I'm not going to repeat the history on it. We were here about a year and a half ago, and then we came back in the summer when we did that Thursday evening walk around West Smithfield and the so-called places of execution. But it is a wonderful story in London's history, and I just can't resist filming it again, so sorry for the repetition. I hope you don't mind too much. Now, after some procrastinating, we finally made it to the main subject of the day. It's only taken 9 minutes into the vlog, but we're now on Holborn Viaduct. Holborn Viaduct was built between 1863 and 1869 as part of the Holborn Valley improvements. It spans the valley of the famous River Fleet, which now exists underground and flows out into the River Thames, as previously mentioned quite a few times, by Blackfriars Bridge. I think we saw it when we did the Thames embankment video early in the summer. It was designed by architect and engineer William Hayward, a colleague of the great Sir Joseph Bazalgette, also to improve access to nearby Smithfield Market and the City of London. On the viaduct you would have seen some female statues. Now these represent agriculture, commerce, the fine arts and science. Henry Purcell sculpted commerce and agriculture on the south side, while science and fine art on the north side are by the sculpture firm Farmer and Brindley. And I've dropped in a very basic and almost crude map of the River Fleet, but it might give the viewer some idea of its flow. As I said, most of it these days is underground. But it's an incredibly important and historied and storied river in the story of London. And on the viaduct itself you will see 4 buildings featuring a statue of famous Londoners, medieval Londoners on the facade. First of all, merchant Sir Thomas Gresham, engineer Sir Hugh Myddleton, London mayors Sir William Walworth and Henry Fitz-Owen. Holborn Viaduct is reputedly the highest place in the City of London, and we'll take this advantage to look up and down Farringdon Street from a high position. Holborn Viaduct was opened by Queen Victoria on 6th of November 1869, the same day as Blackfriars Bridge. The opening was a big event with royal and civic processions taking place between the road and river bridges. In March 1874, the bridge was joined by the Holborn Viaduct train station, which opened on the south side of the viaduct, and it was run by the London, Chatham and Dover Railway and was a terminus for trains from the south. It's wonderful that these 4 buildings, all featuring famous medieval Londoners, have been maintained and restored. As we saw earlier in the blog, this area is undergoing some serious redevelopment, but just one building I want to talk about in particular, and that was number 57 Holborn Viaduct. In 1882 it became home to the world's first coal-fired power station, the Edison Electric Light Station, and it was operational from 1882 to 1886. The building in which it was housed was destroyed by bombing during the Blitz, and the larger building, called 60 Holborn Viaduct, has since subsumed the site. We're just panning over in the directions of Smithfields Meat Market now. The poultry market is gone, and I believe that all traders will be gone by the end of this decade, and the site will be taken over, as I said, by the Museum of London. You can now see the dragons denoting entry and exit to and from the City of London. Now let's talk about these 4 proud and famous medieval Londoners that are represented here. First of all, and it was the first house we saw today, of the merchant, financier and founder of the Royal Exchange, Sir Thomas Gresham, that we covered in a vlog earlier in the year when we walked through and along Gresham Street. And then the engineer, Sir Hugh Myddleton, previously mentioned, and he was famous for the construction of the new river to bring clean water into London. And then Henry Fitz-Orwin was the first ever Mayor of London. And finally Sir William Walworth, notorious for killing Wat Tyler during the Peasants' Revolt of 1381. I've dropped in a print of Holborn Viaduct as it would have looked during the royal procession of 1869 and the opening by Queen Victoria. I've also dropped in a picture of the wonderful granite supports that unfortunately I failed to film today. I was in a rush to get back to the office and I just failed to pick these up, but on the research for the vlog I was able to see how magnificent they look, so I've now dropped them into the vlog and I hope you enjoy them. I'm now walking down these magnificent steps onto Farringdon Street and just enjoying not just the steps but also the fine brickwork. I'm now on to Farringdon Street and will soon be walking the direction of Blackfriars Bridge. I'll take a left turn before then at Ludgate, past St Paul's Churchyard, onto Cheapside and then onto Lombard Street, back hopefully into Fenchurch Avenue in about 15 minutes time if I put on a brisk walk. So thanks for joining us today. I hope you've enjoyed the vlog and we'll just take one quick look back at the magnificent structure that is Holborn Viaduct. Hope you've enjoyed it and apologies for not showing you all the details I could have done, but hopefully I've dropped in some prints to make up for my shortfalls. So thanks again from the Farringdon Flaneurs. We hope to see you again soon.